Her voice didn't tremble. It wasn't scared or uncertain. It was unnervingly calm. Too flat, too practiced. Dad, don't go back to that house. I froze, halfway through unzipping her overnight bag. She was only 8. Kids her age don't speak that way. I knelt in front of her so we were eye to eye. Why? I asked gently. What happened? She didn't answer right away, just breathed in quietly. Then, without a word, she reached into the outer pocket of her backpack and pulled out a phone. My old phone, the one I'd let her use for games. Watch this, Dad. The screen glowed as a video began to play. The footage was unsteady and low quality, probably something she'd recorded by accident, or maybe not. Then I heard it. A voice I knew too well. Her grandmother's. Cold. Cutting. She doesn't suspect a thing. Just like her father never did. Poor fool. All those years and he still believes she's his. There was a pause, followed by a quiet, cruel laugh. Then another voice joined in. My wife's. I know. But it's fine. He won't figure it out. He never does. They were talking about my daughter. The breath caught in my throat. I watched the clip again. And again. The words stayed the same. The meaning didn't change. She was never mine. But I'd carried her out of the hospital in my arms. I'd sung lullabies until she slept. I'd taught her to tie her shoes, kissed her scraped knees, calmed her nightmares. And now I held a recording that shattered everything. I didn't scream. I didn't call anyone. I didn't break down. Instead, I tucked my daughter into bed, kissed her forehead, told her I loved her. Then I sat on the couch and stared at nothing for hours. Everything blurred, the birthdays, the bedtime stories, the tearful hugs, the joy. If she wasn't my daughter, what did that make me? What did that make them? I watched the video again. Each time, it felt like another layer of flesh was peeled back from my chest. The same smug words. She's not his. He won't figure it out. But I had. And I couldn't unknow it. Still, suspicion wasn't enough. I needed undeniable proof, because lies were many faces, and I was going to tear off every single one. I took a toothbrush from her bathroom, swabbed my own cheek with a sterile pad, and sent both samples for a private DNA test. No confrontation. No theatrics. Just quiet certainty. While I waited for the results, I paid attention. I watched my wife closely. She didn't seem to notice anything different. Or maybe she did, but mistook my silence for weakness. She kissed me in the mornings. She played the part of the perfect mother. She smiled like nothing was wrong. But I noticed her phone. Always tilted away from view. Always clutched a little too tightly. One day, while she showered, I cloned it. The messages confirmed it all. Her chats with her mother were filled with guilt and panic. He's acting strange. You don't think she said anything? She's a kid. Just stick to the story. Every word was a whispered confession wrapped in fear. 4 days later, the results arrived. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just stood there in the bathroom, staring at the paper like it had erased my name from history. Probability of paternity, 0%. 8 years. 8 years of pretending, of being the father to a child they knew wasn't mine. I waited until Sunday dinner. At her mother's house. Everyone was there. My wife, my daughter, her grandmother. Wine was being poured. Laughter floated around the table. I asked my wife to pass the salt. She did. Smiling. I placed the folded report gently on the table between us. She didn't reach for it at first. But her mother did. One glance and the color drained from her face. Her fingers tensed around her wine glass. My wife finally looked. The smile cracked, then vanished. She opened the paper. Read it. Said nothing. Didn't try to explain. Didn't plead. Just stared at me like I was the villain in her story. I leaned in and whispered. She heard everything. Her face fell apart. She made a sound, a mix between a gasp and a sob. But it was her mother who lost it first. You shouldn't have done that. This was between us. No, I said, voice cold and even. It was between you. I was just the fool sitting in the corner. I didn't shout. I didn't throw anything. I stood, looked down at the woman who stole fatherhood from me before I ever had the chance to claim it. Then I turned to my daughter. She sat quietly, eyes wide, her small hands gripping the edge of her seat. I crouched beside her. You're mine, I whispered. No matter what anyone says, you're mine. She nodded once. Didn't cry. I handed her a small overnight bag I had packed earlier, just in case. Come on, I said. She got up without a word. Neither of us looked back. Behind me, I heard dishes rattle and angry voices rise. I left the DNA papers on the table, and the video was already uploaded to her phone. I knew she'd see it next time she unlocked it. That was my revenge. Not shouting. Not chaos. Truth. The kind of truth that doesn't need to scream. The kind that unravels everything in silence. We stayed in a hotel that night. It was quiet, dim, safe. She curled into me, her small frame warm against my side. And for the first time in days, I slept. The next morning, I filed for divorce. No long explanations. No custody battle. Just one phrase typed on the form. Fraudulent paternity. Let the court sort the rest. But I already knew what mattered. She wasn't my daughter by blood. But love doesn't need DNA to grow roots. And betrayal? It cuts deeper than any test ever could. My wife lost a husband. Her mother lost her power. I lost the fantasy they built around me. And sometimes, losing the illusion is the most liberating thing a man can do. I'll never step inside that house again, but she'll always remember the day I walked out, with her and with the truth. Final line. They thought I'd never piece it together. But they forgot. I'm the one who taught her how to observe, how to listen, how to see.